whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough to be doing it to. I hope you're doing it to Telstra, because Telstra is certainly doing it to me. Telstra is my ISP, and they suck. I'm putting it out there for the world. They're the reason I'm not streaming at the moment. If you want to take it up with Telstra, apparently the service is just fine from their end, and it's all my issue. But there you go. I've not heard from them from a few days, so we're currently not speaking. This is a further exemplification of the 3 games concept that I ran with the Grill A and the T110E3. Now, I've been doing this specifically because it's different tanks to the normal mediums that I do enjoy running around in. The mediums are lights, the fast flying tanks, the fit, very fit looking, very fit athletic, very easy striding out tanks that the pie-eating machines of justice certainly aren't. But the thing is, the game is a hell of a lot more than just really, really quick LTTBs and Draculas. It is all kinds of different tanks of shapes and sizes unknown. And you can see here I am in the double E100 pie-eating platoon. Now, why do I like this platoon so much? And I really do like it a lot. It's because a lot of people, I feel, play this tank particularly, and you can see Telstra there with a lovely little bit of snapback lag, as I like to call it, and there's plenty of it happening. These are 3 games I played with Mojo. There is a gap between one of them because I did a stupid thing called turning the Telegram group into a super group, and that reset some of the settings for the people in Telegram. We've got 200 sponsors now in Telegram. And what happened was when I turned it into a super group, the first thing you do when you get in Telegram is turn off notifications, because it just goes bzzz every time a message comes up on your phone. And when I turned it on a super group, it reset a lot of the notification settings. And so I had people all over the world turning around going, hey, I just got woken up in the middle of the night. What the hell's the deal? Is there an emergency? Because the phone's vibrating off the hook, has fallen off the bedside table. But there you go. And that's why there's a gap, because I was mucking around with that. HE on 150mm guns. It's where you want to put it, in the back of American tanks. And you're going to see throughout these games, I use HE constantly on this tank. I'm also really quite aggressive in the E100. The E100 has one massive negative as far as I'm concerned. It's the fact that its armor is, like the E3, only really, really good and really special in one particular direction. Once you get flanked and you're side on in this tank, you will be punished, and you'll be punished quite severely. You can see the same with that VK4502B. It's a common concept for big, heavy tanks. So there is a way to minimize that, and that's to be quite aggressive with your team and to lead the charge, because people will follow an E100 a hell of a lot easier than they'll follow a T62A. If you've got a bunch of big heavy tanks and they see you pushing out in front, it gives them a feeling of security, and it's just human nature. You see an E100 pushing along out in front, you'll follow it. You'll let it take the hits, and it's got a huge hit point pool for that reason. Although they did nerf the hit point pool recently, which is a bit unfortunate, and it's now one of the reasons why the IS-4, for all its size difference, is only 100 hit points less than the E100. The mouse is the king of the hill there. And you're going to see how I push in it, because if you don't push, you will lose the initiative in this tank, and you will become a flank target. And when you're a flank target, you just get destroyed. You are so big, and it's impossible to hide this tank in standard areas of cover. It's a great side-scraping tank. You might have noted I did a meta is moving video the other day, and that meta is moving video, a big part of it was about side-scraping in the E100. And there's 2 things about the E100's turret. The flanks or the sides of it are horrible. You go and get hit from the sides. The armor profile is negligible, and the cheeks are very weak to heat. They're very easily penned by high pen guns. So what you have to do is, if you're looking directly at a target and the target's right in front of you, that means your cheeks are flat either side of the gun. You want to tilt the gun to about 15 to 20 degrees to the left or the right of that target, and it then becomes auto bounce areas, and you only turn the gun back when they're fired and you have a shell in the kit bag and can send one in, because the rest of the tank will do the job. It will bounce shots for you as long as you're hiding that lower glacis. I like to think of the E100 as a severely underutilized tank. When I first got it, I wasn't that good in it and I couldn't understand why. And it's because I was playing it a little bit softly, really. It's a bully of a tank. It's got a 150mm gun that is not terribly accurate and doesn't have terribly good pen numbers. But if you think of this, the IS-6, which a lot of you guys have played, for those of you who haven't played an E100, the IS-6 has a horrible gun, or the Glacial has a horrible gun at range, but you get it up close and personal and it doesn't make any difference. You don't have to aim it a lot, you just have to point it and click it, and your armor profile takes care of the rest. Now the E100 works along the same concepts for me, and I find my best runs in this tank come when I'm being very aggressive with it in platoon, and you can use that high explosive shells. You saw Mojo puts one in for 900 there. I'm going to put another one in straight away and finish him up, no worries whatsoever. We're now not mucking around, we're just pushing straight through. You have a huge amount of hit points, you have a 150mm gun, you have an intimidating presence. The worst thing you can possibly do is sit at the back and let the rest of your team take shots. Think of it this way, the best thing you have going for you if you can play the tank is an armor profile and a big bloody gun. If you're not getting them to shoot at you and bounce, and you're letting other people do that, then there's quite a good likelihood that you're just going to end up facing multiple targets at once. And that's a situation that the E100 does not handle particularly well, because it's bloody enormous, it doesn't have superb mobility, and it really does get stuck in a terrible position when it's got to angle towards more than one target. Someone is going to be able to pen your turret. It's just all there is to it. If you can control the engagement, and it's fast enough to do that, it does have enough mobility to get that done, then you can certainly bring it to bear. And often what you'll find is, even in situations where you've got to drive to get to the enemy, start early and don't stop. I'm not saying YOLO. I'm not saying just drive forward and then when you see them, keep driving forward until you're dead or they're dead. I'm saying drive to a position of strength and then go from there and work that angle. You can't afford to be a tank that is complacent when you've got this big a hit point pool and this big an armor profile. And I find again and again and again, I see E100s that just do not do it right. Now, there are going to be certain situations where your gun is best used at the back. That's just a fact of life, because on some maps, because of the team makeup, you're going to be in a situation where, well, you're going to be spotted. And the only way you're going to get shots off is to be hit by a whole lot of unseen targets. A good way to minimize this is to go to urban areas. Urban areas are good because there's lots of broken cover, and it means you can quite often position yourself on one target with a solid hard cover building on the right hand side or the left hand side of your tank, and then when you finish off that target you can move to another angle to take on another target that so far has been blocked from your line of sight. And that broken cover is excellent because it really allows you to pick and choose the engagement, and that's what you want to be able to do in any tank. Sadly, tanks like the Jagdpanzer E100 and the T110E3 without turrets and with really big profiles, they can struggle to do that. It's a harder tank to pick the engagement with, but they're tanks also that when they're in the right situation are amazing. Like if you get them in an engagement where they have tanks in front of them and their lower glaciers covered, you're just like money for jam. Whereas that's not always the case with other tanks. And there's sacrifices, and there's a lot more nuance in the game than people realise. I'm in an E100. There are 6 E100s in this game. Look at how far ahead I am. I am not the most mobile tank in the world, but I have pushed up like an absolute monster because I've seen they've got heavy tanks going out to the flank, and they've got 2 TDs. I'm expecting them to be in spawn. The IS-7 is doing a bloody lovely job playing as an assault breakthrough tank, and I'm just pulling up behind him, and he's going to spot them up, and I'm going to just finish them off. Now, this is what I'm talking about. Tanks like the T110E3 and the Jagdpanzer E100, they now have to angle to multiple targets, and they don't have a turret, and they are spotted. And this is why, if you are in those tanks and you camp at the back, you had better be sure that you have flank cover and the enemy are not, you know, have a whole heap of tanks that can flank you, get up on you, and ruin your life, because that's exactly what's happened here. And we've been able to put a couple of really key shots in there on that Jagdpanzer E100. Absolutely supported the IS-7 in his tilt, and we're now moving onwards and upwards. There's 2 tanks down there with that E3. I'm expecting them to be able to get the job done, and I'm going to try and set a shot up here on that other E100 as he crosses. And that's what I'm talking about. The turret, the side armor of this tank is horrible. You do not want to be bent through the side all the time. And that's why when you're driving the tank, always angle your turret to where you think incoming fire will hit you from. And if you do that, if you get used to doing that when you're driving along, you will actually take a lot fewer of those shots that bloke in that E100 just took. Now, Mojo's pushed up. He's been really aggressive, and I've probably left him in the lurch here because he now has targets coming in on the right and targets coming in on the left. My best bet here would have been to push up with him. I went for that E100 shot, and while I was doing that, you saw a little bit of Telstra lag there. While I was doing that, Mojo absolutely got hammered, or didn't get hammered. Mojo absolutely got left in a really poor position, and they're going to push on him, and it's too late now. I can't push across. I can't actually do the business. I've now got to sit here and try and cover him from the back, which isn't ideal, but it's possible. I mean, that's you see how my ping is standard. It looks to be in the low 100s, but there's certain situations where I'm pressing the button and it's just not happening instantaneously, even though the ping says it is. That's the thing that's driving me up the bloody wall. This IS-7 is not coming out. He eventually comes out and we bounce him. That's why you don't snipe in this tank, because it is just not a very good sniper tank. And Mojo is now surrounded, and this is my fault because I'm in a bloody E100 and I have not responded quick enough. I've still angled well enough. That E100 hasn't angled well enough, and he has paid the ultimate price. Mojo's got flogged from the right-hand side. I've just got to come over here and try and give him a hand, but unfortunately, I am big noob in the E100. Takes out my mate Mojo. I apologise, Mojster. That was completely me. We get rid of I am big noob and strike one back for the forces of good. There are 3 tanks now, 2 IS-7s, and that FV on my right. I am more worried about the IS-7s. IS-7s can run APCR as a prime ammunition, as premium ammo. And that FV can't pen me for more than 260 odd millimeters. So he's going to struggle if I'm angled at all, whereas the IS-7s can absolutely pump me in terms of, oh, we need to get this shot house to go in, and we get it. 615 low roll, but it still makes him a 1 shot. We're now angling to 2. We have a compatriot there behind us though, which is very, very nice. And we're just keeping this IS-7 spotted. We're not going to get a shot in. We're not going to risk too much for it. We're going to let him make the mistake. And that means the E50M actually helps tremendously. 4UX gets player super noob, who isn't too happy, but we managed to get one more in on him, turning it into a 1-shot fest. And because you have a 150mm gun, I can't emphasize this enough. You need to utilize your 150mm gun at all times. That means using high explosive. You can put shots on tanks that are completely superbly armored, and just pump 400 odd alpha into them all the time, even when they're hull down, because you can splash damage them with high explosive. A 150mm shell is a big caliber of shell, and it's something that you shouldn't ignore. It's a huge positive for this tank. It's a big, big tick in the toolbox. So there's the E100, guys. 3 games played in between having an absolute meltdown on the super group on Telegram. I apologise to all the patrons for that. It was pretty funny. I think Nisus, she jumped up and said, my phone's just been going off like a frog in a sock. What the hell's happened? Is there an emergency? What's going on? I think we woke Jabberwingo up as well. There was plenty of movement at the station. Don't be too soft in this tank. It's a bit of a bully. Try not to have to angle to more than one target at a time. And to do that, the best way I find is to push a flank, not push a center. Don't push the center too often. you want to be able to have at least one area that you can't be hit from. And if you're pushing a flank, it generally means that you don't have to worry about anyone on one side or the other because it's a boundary line for the map. And I like to use that as a little friend for tanks like the E100, the Jagdpanzer E100, all those big boys who struggle, and girls, and tanks. I'm sure everyone's happy about that. Until next time, boys and girls, look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.